Welcome back to 10-Year Tenure, the series where we take a look at a noteworthy album released 10 years ago and see how well it holds up today. And let me start this episode with a question. What's better than an album from 2014 whose title is only 4 characters? Well, I'll tell you. An album from 2014 whose title is only 4 spaced out characters. Today, we're gonna talk about Pharrell Williams' Girl.
Different.
If you listen to popular music, especially from the 90s and 2000s, you have to know who Pharrell is. He's a member of the Neptunes and NERD, and the wizard behind some of the most salacious, syncopated pop, R&B, and hip-hop classics. Working with the likes of Gwen Stefani, Britney Spears, Clips, Nelly, Jay-Z, Shakira, Missy Elliott, and many, many more. And if you really don't know who he is, then just wait until his Lego biopic, Piece by Piece, comes out this fall. As far as his own discography goes, throughout the 2000s, Pharrell worked with his production partner Chad Hugo on NERD albums like In Search Of and Seeing Sounds, but he had a pretty big breakout in mainstream pop as a solo artist in the early 2010s, showing up on songs like Blurred Lines with Robin Thicke and T.I., and Get Lucky alongside Daft Punk and Nile Rodgers. The peak of this explosive run of hits was his second solo studio album, Girl, an album that makes its central concept very apparent from how heavily emphasized its title is thanks to its syntax. Pharrell likes women, and I mean really likes them. This album is probably one of the poster children of heterosexuality. Around the time when Beyoncé's self-titled album was causing the world to think deeply about the real definition of the word feminist, Pharrell decided to devote an entire album to talking about all different types of women equally. His love for women is as big as the hats he wore during this era. He talks about some other topics as well from time to time, and does so with the high-pitched, timid, boyish charm of singers like Michael Jackson, and the unabashed goofiness of someone like Bootsy Collins. Hunter sees him out on the prowl trying to woo girls, while Come Get It Bae, featuring guest vocals from Miley Cyrus, has him using the act of riding a motorcycle as a euphemism for... well, I'm sure you can figure that one out. You're smart. A lot of his falsetto singing was slammed upon this album's release, but honestly, I don't really mind it. I think it shows that he's a bit more self-assured and mature, but also more personable and less aggressive. This is certainly not considered hoe-scaring music, if you will. All songs on the album are also produced by Pharrell, and while some of the instrumentals may be better suited for the people he's worked with rather than himself, the undeniable funk that oozes out of some of these grooves makes it impossible to sit still while listening. It's also really difficult to not clap along while listening to this. Like, seriously, if you're allergic to the sound of clapping, do not listen to this album under any circumstances. In addition to some Neptunian funk, we also get some disco grooves, like Gust of Wind that has him reunite with Daft Punk, or the laid-back, almost yacht rock-sounding song, Know Who You Are with Alicia Keys. We also get moments of empowerment and triumph, like on the Justin Timberlake-assisted track, Brand New, which sounds like it could have been produced by Quincy Jones. And I think that's it. There really isn't much else to note about this album. I certainly couldn't be forgetting anything. Oh, that's right. This album contains the song Happy from open quote, Despicable Me 2, closed quote. A song that took the world by storm when it came out, continues to be Pharrell's highest streamed song, and has been played in every public setting you could ever imagine. But despite how overplayed it may be, I think the song has lived an interesting life. I feel like we've collectively become more jaded to aggressively happy music over the years, since as time has gone on, there's been less and less to be genuinely happy about. But as Pharrell expresses on songs like Lost Queen, he's aware of how messed up the world is, but all it takes is the right person to be the perfect distraction to make it all worth it. So sometimes something or someone can come along and make you feel like a room without a roof, or a hot air balloon that can go to space. Or Stuart the Minion. 10 years later, and yeah, people only remember this album because of Happy. As Slant Magazine's Eric Henderson put it, some of the songs on Girl could have benefited from the amount of revisions that the song that ended up becoming Happy went through. But I think the album is definitely worth diving into if you haven't already. Whether you're in need of an antidote to a bad day, or something to soundtrack a proud moment or cool thing you did. Unlike this series' previous subject, There's not really a whole lot going on under the surface with this one, but it still is an interesting benchmark in the illustrious and ever-growing Pharrell canon. It never takes itself too seriously, and it's just a lighthearted fun time. And this has been its 10-year tenure.
Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is. You hey. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Come on.
Which 10-year-old album should I cover next? Let me know down in the comments, and subscribe for more music discussion.